What is going on, Rush Nation? And welcome back to Fast Action Friday. It's been nearly a month now since we was included in the 5-Yard Rush Super Bowl show, thanks to Murph, of course. And unfortunately, it ain't the full gang tonight, but I'm delighted to be joined by Rob. What is going on, mate?
Yeah, going well. As you can see, I have put on my merch. Thankfully, this was provided by yourself. It arrived just in time for the show. So, yeah, managing to rep my team as well, as you are repping yours. Pitsy got snowed in, I believe, and wasn't able to make it to the town's computer. So he's unable to join us for tonight. Also, yeah, thanks to Murph as well for having us on that Super Bowl show. I think it was really good, and best wishes to him as well. He's been a bit poorly. Well, he has been very poorly for a few weeks and stretching over back for a few months. And I know he'd be very excited to be giving his thoughts and opinions on all the things that are happening. And fingers crossed he's back on the flagship show soon, and he's back to full strength.
Yeah, I believe the flagship show is back next week, as well as the Dynasty show, and we just come together in our little group chat, me, you, and Pitsy, and thought, you know what, let's give the people what they want. Let's give Rush Nation what they want, and throw out an episode of Fast Action Friday. We don't do too many in the off season, do we? But no. We thought we'll have a go this week. Still the same sort of length, 20 to 25-ish minutes, and but it's a little bit different. There's some little snappy segments, and that is it.
Yeah, we've already said we would have liked to kept it around 20 minutes, but we always seem to end going over because we just like chatting too much. So fingers crossed we can keep it short and keep it snappy as well. I thought we would drop a new segment in this time, seeing as it's the off season. We haven't got the same kind of segments that we would have in the in season, as it were. So we'd like to try and mop up what's happened over the last few days. Give the flagship show a bit of a head start when it comes to the weekend, especially when we know it's going to be some big news coming up next week. I think we've got free agency madness about to happen. And we've even made a little segment video for this. So this is Newsflash.
So the first piece of news that we need to look at is a quarterback, and it is Derek Carr. So he was obviously let go by the Raiders, and there's a bit of a deal going on with the Saints. ESPN has him as a 4-year deal worth $150 million with 100 of that guaranteed. 60 when he signs, and another 10 mil starting on his third year. I think that's a great for every single Saints fantasy option, because last season with Andy Dalton, he's been around the league for a while, and he's more in that sort of backup role. Everybody thought Winston was going to be the guy. I certainly did. I overinvested in Winston last year, and for Olave as well, because Derek Carr ain't shy of throwing it down the field, and big play Olave, or what he was known as at Ohio State, will come to fruition. And yeah, I'm excited to see what Derek Carr can do with the Saints, and more so what it unlocks for his weapons there.
Definitely. I was a big fan of Juwan Johnson. I think it was quite a nice step up for him with the play that he was getting, and I think this is a really good chance for the partnership that Carr had with Waller as well, and Foster Moreau to an extent when Waller was out. Really gives the tight end options, and Adam Troutman if he's still around, to be honest. I think with news about Kamara, I don't think they'll have to. I think they'll have to focus on the passing game more and take it away from the running game if Kamara's not going to be there. We don't know what's going to happen with Kamara, but based on some of the other punishments we've seen, it could be quite a few games that he's out, and they're going to have to think about other ways of moving that ball down the field.
Yeah, and like you say, with Juwan Johnson, he was competent enough last year. I think he finished as tight end 15 in PPR. And Derek Carr could definitely help elevate that a bit because he didn't get that many targets and stuff for the players around him. So to step into that tight end one conversation ain't going to be too difficult, I don't think.
Not at all. And it was the touchdown percentage. Like he was getting a lot of touchdowns for the team. He was Rashid Shaheed as well. Some small volume of targets and receptions, but big plays. So again, those two, bit part players came into a bit of the fore towards in the stretch of last year. This could be the chance for them to take that next step as well. Moving on, we'll have a look at some of the franchise tags that have happened as well. So, Derek Carr didn't get his deal, so they gave a franchise tag to Josh Jacobs instead of his 5th-year deal, which I think only turns out to be $2 million more than if he had his deal. So I think it was $10 million for running backs from what I remember, and it would have only been $8 million on his 5th-year option. So they've lost $2 million there. Saquon Barkley as well. He's also been franchise tagged, which after we weren't quite sure what's going to happen with the next person we're going to talk about, Daniel Jones, but now he's got the deal. Getting a tag on Barkley, I think, was really important. Keeping those two big players together, that's really going to help Brian Daboll consolidate getting their first playoff win since they won the Super Bowl. And then Lamar Jackson, he's gotten the non-exclusive tag as well. So I think equivalent of 2 first-round picks. That's what they've got the match, isn't it? Is that?
Yeah.
Am I correct? Who's going to pay that?
Yeah, because it ain't only just paying the picks, which is the next 2 picks they have. So anyone with 2 picks in this first round would have to give both up. There's a couple, ain't there? Seattle and Philadelphia. Obviously, they're not going to go for Lamar, but it's a really interesting one there because not only are they going to be paying a quarterback that sort of money that he's after, the guaranteed money, they have to give up 2 first-round picks. And it's probably a shrewd move by the Ravens, to be honest, doing what they did. But no matter sort of where he goes, for fantasy football, Lamar Jackson's Lamar Jackson. Mm. He was banged up last year, but he's a QB1 all day long, isn't he?
Yeah, and that's even without having the weapons around him to throw to. I think that was something that a lot of Ravens fans have been clamoring for, just providing him with some outlets that he can do his business rather than having to rely on his feet. Because as we know, quarterbacks get older; they don't stay as fast as they do. And when you've got an ultra athletic player like Lamar Jackson, you really have to think about the future. And maybe this, like you say, a shrewd move for the Ravens, bringing someone else in to replace him.
I mean, I was kind of thinking that Jacobs would get the franchise tag in Vegas. It made a lot of sense after last year. He was like playing for a contract, playing for someone to come and get him. And when he did, and then Vegas are just like, nope, you're staying here. Have your franchise tag. But that's good for him as well because, he can play up again, and it's good for us too because he's going to have to do it again or similar because what he was like last year, 1,600 plus rushing yards, is fantastic, but he's going to have to do similar, maybe not quite as much, to either get a contract somewhere else or whatever his future holds. But Saquon Barkley's no surprise as well, really. I thought they might have tagged Daniel Jones because his asking price was a little bit much for me, but we'll get onto him very shortly.
No, I agree. The money that they've given him, which we'll come on to, I think is I think it's been what's the word? Not necessarily unjustified because he has taken a step up this last year, but maybe if you look at his past performances, maybe people are doubting why the Giants have done what they've done.
I mean, 15 passing touchdowns. Yes, he was very good on the ground, extending plays and things like that this year and I think it really is because he had the full trust of Brian Daboll in that new system. And that, one of the first things Brian Daboll done at the start of the year when he got made head coach was Daniel Jones is our quarterback this year. And it sort of give him that confidence to be able to do things like that. And he was very good, but 15 passing touchdowns in 16 games, I think he played in the regular season. And does that warrant $160 million over 4 years? I'm not so sure. Ian Rappaport tweeted that it's around 82 million over the first 2 years and 94 on signing. Now, yes, he did take steps forward, but it still wasn't anywhere. What are people like, I don't know, Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow, and what are they going to be thinking now when they've seen Daniel Jones be paid that much? I know what he was thinking to get paid that much because of Jared Goff on 32, Cousins on 36 or whatever, like a year. And it's crazy.
Absolutely. And then you've got to look at the players that he did have in his wide receiver room. You know, I believe he had Richie James there, Dante Pettis. He's had, Sterling Shepard, Darius Slayton, Kenny Golladay was there very, very briefly as well. I think
Isaiah
a lot of those
Hodgins.
players, Isaiah Hodgins, yeah, red zone darling. A lot of those players are now going to be out of contract. So maybe these next 2 years are the chance for Daboll to invest in those receivers, actually prove why Daniel Jones is worth this money. So yeah, I think it's a move that is keeping a quarterback there. He's Daboll's come in and he's not caused any ripples. He's kept that core together. Now's the chance for him to get those extra level players and take them further than the wild card round and the conference round, division round. Let's see where they can go with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we've also got some big news about Derrick Henry as well. So the rumors are that Derrick Henry is on the trading block for the Titans. It's a big move for the running back and potentially going to cut a huge hole in that Titans offense.
Yeah, they cut Robert Woods as well last week, and
yeah.
a knife to your heart maybe, but like it's I don't know. I think that the Titans are sort of leaning towards a rebuild a little bit, but then as we'll come on to later, they've said Tannehill is going to be the starter next year.
They said he's going to be there. They said I think he's going to be there in 2023, but I think the jury's still out as whether or not he is going to be the starter. I realise that's what we I did a little bit of further research after said he was going to be there. And I was like, is he going to be the starter? I think it was assumed that he was, but is he going to be there in a backup role? Is he going to be there as a starter or to challenge? Malik Willis didn't really set the Titans alight when he was behind the line. They've gotten rid of the center recently as well. They've just released the center of the Titans, so I think it's wide open, that team.
Yeah, it's almost like they're leaning towards a rebuild, but who knows?
It's a tough division at the moment. It is a tough division. Like the Jaguars are on the up. That's a big part. And Houston are looking at a new quarterback. I don't think Davis Mills is the long-term answer there, so they'll be looking for something too. And then you've got the Colts. Again, they look like in a part rebuild as well with Jeff Saturday. Some early picks now. I think that division is in flux apart from the Jaguars, and the Titans are probably going to try and ride it out and see what can happen.
Yeah, it's certainly an interesting one. But in some quarterback news, Tua has got his 5th-year option secured with the Dolphins, and as we just mentioned, the Titans confirmed Ryan Tannehill will be on the squad to start 2023. Not much else to say really there. Obviously, the Dolphins are looking to show their support for Tua and hopes he will be their long-term answer at quarterback.
I think I've got a few friends who are Dolphins fans, and they seem pretty pleased with this. They were a little bit surprised it's taken this long to get to the 5th-year option for Tua. They thought maybe he'd done enough, especially with what happened last season with Tyreek and Jalen Waddle. Tyreek as well, he's just had his deal restructured as well. So that's going to be quite important for keeping that team together. But yeah, I think that does open up the division, keeps that division open. I think that's going to be quite nice. I think I'm quite excited to see how, with the Jets potentially getting a Hall of Fame future quarterback behind the line. We'll see what happens there. That's going to be quite an open division, which is great. It can be more than said for Marcus Mariota and Carson Wentz, though, who have lost their quarterback battles at the Falcons and the Commanders with their releases. Although I don't really know if whoever remains can really call it a win this close to the draft. I think either of those teams could take a quarterback here and blow things wide open.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as you know, I was really high on Sam Howell coming out of college. He had a bad last season in college, but he had a whole new O-line and new weapons and things like that with De'Ami Brown, Daz Newsome coming to the draft the year before. But I think Washington might give Sam Howell a go. They might bring in a cheap vet. Sort of, if he isn't doing what they hoped, then the vet will take over for the rest of this year. But with the Falcons, I was convinced they was going to go for Lamar, but they've said they're out on him. Mariotta's been cut. He ain't the guy. Ridder, did he show enough last year? I'm not sure.
No, but I'll tell you who the Commanders will not be bringing in, and that is Geno Smith. He's got his deal. And I think that's very, very deserved. He's been brilliant at the Seahawks, especially coming in with a competition with Drew Lock, which is, we thought it was quite surprising. And then Geno's taken it, and he's taken it, and he's got his 3 years.
Absolutely. Teams also releasing players in preparation for next season. So this one cut deep enough. Eric Kendricks at the Vikings. It's a shame to see him go, but it is what it is. He's the wrong side of 30 and things like that. But Robbie Anderson for the Cardinals also released, and Frank Clark for the Chiefs.
Yeah, he's he's been a big servant to that team, hasn't he? Two Super Bowls, for the Chiefs, and they put a really nice tweet up. It's funny how they can say thank you with the tweet, but he responded to that really nicely. Unsurprising about Robbie Anderson, didn't really do anything. He threw his helmet, threw his toys at the Panthers. Yeah. Also, rumours on several outlets, and I think it has been confirmed in the last hour or so that the Vikings are going to be releasing Adam Thielen, and you are definitely not happy about that, are you, Lewis?
Yeah, so it's been a rough week as a Vikings fan, to be honest. Fantasy football aside, Eric Kendricks first, kind of expected a little bit, but he's one of the guys. He's one of the fan favourites as well. And then today, Adam Thielen cut. He's Mr. Minnesota for me. He was Detroit Lakes. He was born and raised there. Went to college in Minnesota. Undrafted free agent. Got signed by the Vikings. 9 years, 2 Pro Bowls. He's been fantastic. And the last couple, maybe not so much last season, but the 2 years before that, he's done more than enough for us in fantasy. He's had a wide receiver 1 season, a wide receiver 2 season. How he gets open in the end zone beats any sort of man coverage you can put on him. Fantastic hands, and it's a real shame. I really wanted to see him and I believe he would have tried to work out some sort of restructure because he loves it there, and it's a shame.
Yeah, and we've had Stacey just in the comments saying Dalvin Cook getting traded.
Yeah, I don't mind that so much. Saves $8 million in cap space, which we need to get under that cap as well. And we don't need a bell cow now. It's a new system. We've seen that last year. We need a running back to run 15 times a game, and that Dalvin Cook's almost wasted there. And
something I noticed in PFF stats is that Dalvin Cook has actually done the most pass blocking out of any running back last season, by quite a way as well. Which does go to what you're saying.
And they're keeping CJ Ham, so that says a lot. He's the fullback, and he's a great blocker for Dalvin. But it makes sense to get what we can now because, again, he's one of those that's with a running back. He's been in the league, 6 years, I think, or maybe 7. But he's heading that way now where he ain't going to have too many more years left. He's unwilling to restructure. And if we can get $8 million off the cap by trading him away, then it all of the deals they're trying to do make sense. But if Harrison Smith is the next man cut, I am not watching NFL no more. I'm going to pick a new sport because they're all my favorites will be gone in one free agency. So one off season.
You can go down to like the XFL or something like that, maybe, or
Yeah,
or CFB. Get Canadian football in there as well. Why not?
Yeah, maybe even BAFA, like the British one, but we'll see.
Yeah, why not? Why not? But at least you're getting all this action. At least like you're making moves at the moment. Frank Reich has not really done a whole lot for the Panthers. I've been searching on Google for anything to add in, and at the moment only I think it's Damien Wilson has been a linebacker. He's been the only one that's been released. So I know it's been hard, but it sounds like the moves, like you said, they're making sense. And
I think he's been getting his. Yeah, absolutely. And, in Kwesi we trust. But Frank Reich's been making some staffing changes and bringing some new staff in and things like that. So maybe he's trying to get all of those sort of things in place first. And then he'll attack the draft, I'm sure, which should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and a bit of a tangent this, but I know like when I used to play Football Manager, I used to get one of those lower league teams. It was like, right, I need the best staff in first. Doesn't matter about the players. Get the staff in first. And the player improvement will follow. So maybe that's what they're going for there as well. Let's go on to the next segment. So there's no video for this one because that hasn't been made yet. I'm working on it, and the name is a work in progress. But I was thinking maybe it could be called the sweep. A bit like a sweep play. It's kind it's a kind of a catch up with the things that are going on. Nice and light. Have a brush over something. So the sweep. But we only have one item on the agenda. So what is that item, Lewis?
Yes, and it is a big one. So the people behind the First Year's UK Fantasy Football Collective down in London are bringing it back once again this year. So the UK FFC is a fantasy football event held in London that raises money for a selected charity. After the success of the first event, where over £2,000 was raised for Mind Charity, and the UK Fantasy Football Community United, their aim is to grow that. They've moved to a bigger venue and things like that. And yeah.
So it's looking like it's going to be longer than last year as well, from noon until 7 p.m. on the Saturday, 8th of July. So make sure you get that in your diaries as well. And like you said, it's moved to Belushi's London Bridge, which is a bigger event. And I believe that's so they can get even more guest speakers, get more events going on.
Yeah, there'll be panels on relevant fantasy football topics, Q&As with some big names in the industry, and various learner corners where you can learn all sorts of fantasy football things in a one-to-one conversation with some UK analysts. All the best guys from the UK are there. And let's not forget the stalls who will be selling various NFL-related merch. There's even a whole host of raffle prizes to be won at the end of the event. And not to forget, there will also be the fallout from the live London Scott Fishbowl 13 draft that will have happened the night before in the same venue. Yeah,
that's huge. I know a lot of people got excited about this. A lot of people got entered to get that chance. And a big prize to give away. The best part, the tickets are only £10 each. So they are on sale at the moment at linktr.ee, so Linktree with a full stop between TR and EE /UK FFC. General admission £10 with a £2 booking fee. And you can find out more information as they release it on the Twitter, which is @_UK FFC. And then they have their Facebook page, which is at UK FFC as well. That, some really quality people. And I know a lot of the community are planning to get down to it and make it as successful as it was last year.
Yeah, I had a fantastic time last year. I don't think there was one person that didn't enjoy themselves. It's been put together by a great group of people, and if you're in the area or willing to travel down, get your ticket because it will definitely be worth it.
Definitely. I mean, I'm hoping I can try and get down as well. From what the videos, there's a video as well showing a recap of last year, and it looked absolutely immense. So I'd be pained to miss it this year if I couldn't go, but I'm hoping to go. So we've also got a bit of a chat about in terms of articles and contents that people are working on as well. So what are you working on, Lewis, at the moment?
Yeah, so I've released this week the first article in the injury files, which I done last off season. I brought it back in season up till about week 9 or 10, I think it was, Rob, before I took over the starts and sits. But the injury files is out, and the first article, a little spoiler for you, it's about Breece Hall. So go and check that out over on the 5 Yard Rush website. And, you know, I'll have a look what else we do a bit closer to the season. But what about you, Rob? What have you got going on?
So I've got one more installment of the Extra Yards article series. So you're looking at players who can offer a little bit extra in other areas. So like the running receivers, the pass catching carriers, looking at the rushing quarterbacks at the moment. So trying to put something together for that group of players as well. And then just potentially looking up to bring back some of the old names. So I had the cash and carries, targets, and looking at missed targets as well. So targets of preference, that was one as well. And finding the camaraderie between quarterback and receiver, you know, players who go way back alongside each other. It'd be nice to bring some of those back as well as we go through the off season, and hopefully we get to do a few more of these as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll definitely put a few more of these together as we go on through the off season. But that is all we have time for tonight. We could stay on here all day and chat, couldn't we? To be fair, but we have to try and keep it fast. And this is the longest one we've done for a while. But once again, UKFFC website is Linktree with a dot between the TR and the EE /UKFFC. And until next time, keep rushing.